Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I am Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode is a pre-fight show for UFC on ESPN, Covington versus Lawler. And this is, pre-fight rundown of the main card with predictions. So let's get started. I'll make this a quick episode. So in the main event in the welterweight division, we have Colby Chaos Covington, or I think that's still his nickname. But anyways, is it? Let's see. Yeah. Anyhow, so we have Colby Covington versus Robbie Lawler, two longtime UFC veterans, especially Robbie Lawler, going at it. You got the heavy hands of Robbie Lawler, and you got some quick hands in Colby Covington, plus world-class wrestling of Colby Covington. And the thing about Colby Covington that people forget is, he's insanely talented, and he's only had one loss by submission. He's never been knocked out in his pro MMA career. So, yeah, the last time the guy lost was UFC 194 against Warley Alves, who is a submission ace from Ultimate Fighter Brazil. And Robbie Lawler is former UFC welterweight champ, and well, so is Colby Covington's former UFC champ as well. Interim, okay, interim. I do count interim belts. Okay, let's get that squared away. If a UFC gold is wrapped around your waist, you're a UFC champ. I don't care. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. So two former UFC champs going at it, and Colby never lost his title. He's never lost his belt in a fight. He was stripped of it due to injury. So let's get that out of the way. And so my prediction on this fight is Colby Covington wins by unanimous decision. I think he wears out Robbie Lawler with the wrestling, and I think when it gets down to rounds 4 and 5, it'll be an easy fight for Colby Covington. He'll avoid the heavy shots of Robbie Lawler, and I think the first 3 rounds, it'll be Colby taking down Robbie Lawler and avoiding the heavy hands. And then when it gets to rounds 4 and 5, those heavy hands of Robbie Lawler won't be there as much. So Colby could take 1 or 2 shots and still keep moving, and then get him up against the cage and put the pressure on. So I got Colby Covington winning by unanimous decision. I think Robbie could win a round or 2. I'll say Robbie wins a round. We'll say Colby wins 49-46 unanimous decision. Then in the lightweight division, we have Jim Miller versus Clay Guida. I got to go with Clay Guida on this. I think he's motivated. He's looking pretty good as of lately, and I think he gets it done by unanimous decision here. Yeah, well, you know what? Yeah, I'll say unanimous decision. I think he just outlands Jim Miller in the stand-up and wins by unanimous decision. Then in the lightweight division, also on the main card, we have Joaquim Silva versus Nazareth Hack Perest. After watching fights of both these guys, I got to go with Joaquim Silva. You know what? Actually, I will say I'll go on a limb here and say that Joaquim Silva gets it done. Second round submission. I'll say there's a finish in this fight. I think Silva's talented enough that he gets it done by second round submission here. Then in the middleweight or if not, then unanimous decision if he doesn't get a submission. Then in the middleweight division, we have Trevin Giles versus Gerald Meerschaert. Got to go with Meerschaert on this one. Unanimous decision. End of story. I think Gerald Meerschaert has a lot of potential at middleweight. He's talented, great striking, great ground game. I think the guy is just a well-rounded fighter, and I think I think this guy will definitely hear more from him in the UFC. Will he be champion anytime soon? That's jumping too far ahead, but I think for now his name will be out there. As they say, take it one fight at a time, right? Then in a catchweight division, we have or not catchweight division, in a catchweight bout, we have Scott Holtzman versus Dong Hung Ma, and I got to go with Scott Holtzman on this one. I went back and forth a little bit, but I'll say Scott Holtzman gets it done with his wrestling and wins by unanimous decision on this one. I think Scott Holtzman is a great wrestler, and I think that that's what gets this fight done here. But I think if Dong gets a victory here, it'll be with stand-up. But I think Scott Holtzman's stand-up is good enough to deal with Dong's stand-up, and I think Scott Holtzman, yeah, gets it done with the wrestling and wins by unanimous decision. And this catchweight belt on the main card at 158. Then 158 pounds, that is. Then in the light heavyweight division, we have Darko Stasic versus Kennedy Zaku, I believe I said that right. Anyways, I got Darko on this one. I'll say first round knockout. I think Darko has heavy hands at light heavyweight, and I think he gets it done first round knockout. So there's my predictions. And definitely check out the prelims on this one. You got Mickey Gall and Lauren Murphy on the prelims, so this is a pretty stacked card for a UFC on ESPN card, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, stay tuned for my post-fight show in the coming days. And until then, as always, see ya.